tough days or their challenges. But I think it's so important to find like-minded people that will talk about the tough stuff and not just the good stuff. Because I know there's certain accounts or people that I've followed that are just, I would almost call it like positivity porn, productivity porn. It's just like constantly like, smash it, I'm smashing it all the time. And it's great to be proud of yourself. And absolutely, like, I think it's good to, if you're feeling quite confident and you're feeling quite positive and you feel like you're, you know, conquering the world, that's great to talk about that. But it's also important to talk about the days that aren't like that, especially to be relatable.
Yeah, totally. I mean, it's great that people are booked up until, that's another one, I'm fully booked until May 2021. I hate those ones. Sorry if anyone is fully booked until May 2021. That's not a dig at anybody, and it's great for them. And I often think, you know, that is great. But, oh, come on. I think, what are they doing? What are they doing that I'm not doing? I'm not booked till 2021. So yeah, you're totally right. You've got to balance out the accounts, I think. And you've got to mute the accounts that just do not make you feel happy. I have muted a few.
As have I. And I think the interesting thing, I see it all the time with photography, like my next year's fully booked. I'm now taking bookings for 2022 or whatever. But interestingly enough, I know some of the photographers that post these things, and I know for a fact that they're not, because I speak to them on the other side of it. So a lot of people use that as a sales tactic. And it obviously works for them because they continue to use it. It makes them look busy. It makes them look booked up. You know, it's the same idea of like if you put an online course out and you say like you have to sign up before this date and then I close the doors until, you know, so you see that quite a lot. And like the course one doesn't bother me as much as the I'm fully booked one. And maybe some people truly are, as you said, fully booked through next year, and good for them. That's great. But yeah, it certainly doesn't help people who, you know, whose diaries are a little bit less full. And I also wouldn't feel good about putting that out there from an honesty perspective, because chances are I'm not fully booked for next year. So,
and then you're missing out on the jobs that you could be getting if you're telling fibs. That'll teach people to tell fibs. Fibbers aren't winners. Almost rhymes. Need to think of a more catchy one for that.
Something a bit catchier. No, you're right though. And I think different people do different things when it comes to sales. I mean, I think a lot of people don't particularly like sales and shy away from it. And then there's people on the other side of that that are maybe very, I don't know if pushy is the right word or not, but are very sort of sales oriented, and that's like front and center in everything they do. And I guess different things work for different people. Different things work for different ideal clients and target audiences and things like that. I always think it's interesting if you go into a shop, for example. So I am not one who likes to be pressured when I walk in a shop. I just want to browse. I don't mind somebody saying, if you need help, come and find me. But I hate that, like, what can I help you with, on you right away?
Yes.
So that's
like pressure, isn't it? Yeah. It's just like a pressure thing. It's aggressive. I find it slightly aggressive in the online world. And when you go into a shop, I've been one of those people in a shop, but I used to have to fold jumpers. So it was all right. I was good at folding jumpers.
It is so funny though. It's like trying to look at things from a consumer perspective as well as your own. So it's like, you need to sell. As businesses, we have to sell. Otherwise, we're not going to make a living. And you have to try and find a way to do it that sort of fits with you and your ethos and your personality and all of that kind of thing. But at the same time, try and keep your consumer, your ideal client, your customer in mind all the time when you are. And it's a bit of a minefield. And sometimes I see other people doing things and I think, oh, I don't really like the idea of doing it that way, but it's obviously working for them. And you start to fall into that trap of, oh, should I be doing that too?
No, you should never do that. I know exactly what you mean though, because there are a lot of people that do that, and I have fallen into that trap as well and thought, do you know, they're doing all those things and they look really shiny and they look more professional than me and all that. But then I think I look at not at their clients, but I look at like who my client base is, and I kind of want to have fun with my clients. And, you know, I'm sort of targeting people that maybe are a little bit scared about social, and those people that are slightly more aggressive, they're probably not the people that they're going to attract. Whereas I'm going to attract those sort of people more, and that's fine for me. You know, I may not be fully booked all the time, but I'm getting to choose who I work with. And, you know, I think when you work for yourself, you have to have a little bit of fun with it, don't you? I know I bang on about fun a lot, but fun is important. If you're not having fun when you're running your own business, you may as well go and work back in the office. No offense to people who work in offices and they like their job. I've worked in a lot of offices. I've met a lot of David Brents.
I think it would be quite funny to work for a David Brent for a little while, not long term.
No, only for half a day, and then it's draining.
That's a bit much. Oh, but you're absolutely right about the we should be having fun with our business and about working with the type of people you want to work with and doing the type of work that you want to do, because otherwise, what is the point? You could just go and work for a company where you're going to be told, these are our clients, this is what you do. If you want to kind of create your own niche and find your own people and create that audience that's sort of like-minded and fits with you, that's the whole point of having your own business. And if you can't have fun with it, then yeah, we might as well go back to 9 to 5s.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's your choice. This is the whole reason that you've started your business, so that you've got your own brand values and your own tone of voice and, your own people that you want to work with and what you want to do. If you want to have Fridays off, have Fridays off, But yeah, I really do think people don't have enough fun in their business. Although, we have to work and it's stressful, but there's always time to make it a bit more fun than the 9 to 5, surely.
Well, and I think you're so great at that. Like, your content is always really fun. It always sounds like you. Now I think I know you a little bit, and I already felt like I knew you just from consuming whatever content you were creating. And then when I met you over Zoom, I'm air quoting here because we've not actually met in person thanks to this lovely pandemic that we're in. But yeah, it just fit. And I think that's something that you do really well, and a lot of people are a bit scared to do, is show their personality. But what that does is it tells your audience what it's like to actually work with you, and then when they do, it all fits together. It would be really weird if you were super formal and serious being who you are, if your content was all like very, very formal, and then I met you and I'd go like, that's not even the same person. So can you share a little bit, because you're so good at this, and I know that you coach your clients to kind of take a similar approach as well. Can you maybe give us some tips or a starting point to inject a little bit more fun and a little bit more personality into your content?
So I think you're totally right with the whole fun thing, in that a lot of people that I work with, I think they're scared. Well, they are scared that if they do have a little bit of fun with their content, it's going to make them look less professional, and then people won't want to buy their products. They won't want to, buy their services or work with them, because they think, they're just mucking around. They're not, they don't know what they're talking about. But I think with things like Instagram stories, that is the perfect opportunity, especially for the people that are feeling a little bit nervous. If you don't want to have fun with it on your grid, you want to keep it super professional, that's fine. Instagram stories is totally the place to like have a little bit of fun. Like, if you're having a bad day, to post, look at this giant, huge chocolate cake. I am so tired. I have had 3 hours of sleep and this has made my day. Anyone else tired? I mean, that is not going to hurt anyone. It's not going to hurt your credibility if you're posting that to Instagram stories, because first of all, it'll be gone after 24 hours anyway. And like, another thing with the fun is that people remember the posts that are a little bit silly, that have like a little bit of personality. So I do bang on about these posts a lot. So if anyone's worked with me, they'll be like, oh, she's going to tell the cup story again. But have I told you the cup story? I feel like I probably have. So it was basically a post with me wanting to, inject a bit of personality into my grid. I'd done a few posts that were a bit not too serious, but for me, they were quite serious. They were talking about my products and how to get in touch and all that sort of thing. And I had an idea for posting about cups, and how it sounds really weird when I say it to people, but if you see it on my grid, it makes sense, about how I need to have specific cups for the day. So like my first cup of the day is a coffee cup that's blue, and it's a specific cup, and it has to be, my first coffee of the day has to be in that cup. Then the next cup is a different cup, and so on and so on. And I can only drink tea out of a specific cup. Anyway, I thought, I'm just going to put this on Instagram, because it's just going to start a bit of a conversation. It's a bit of fun, It's a bit me. And I always want to show a little bit of me on my Instagram grid. If people don't like it, that's fine. They can go and follow someone that's shiny and, you know, all digital marketing and a ninja, and they use all those words, but I'm not like that. So I thought, I'm going to share this and just see. And I had just done a little post and explained about it and said, I know I'm a bit of a cup weirdo or something like that. Does anyone else have a thing? Or, you know, not specifically cups, but does anyone have a thing? And it was the most commented on post that I had had for months probably. And it was such on a whim and such a silly little thing just to inject some personality. Like, there were a few people that did say, yes, you're a massive weirdo. That is super weird. But so many other people had commented and said, I've got a cup thing. Oh my God, I can't believe you've got a cup thing. I'll tell you about my cups. And then it's sounding so weird. But it's all about sharing a little bit of personality. And then from that post, I did get a few new followers. And, you know, it's all about building a 3-dimensional view of yourself and your brand. So adding a bit of your personality, adding a bit of your, you know, adding a bit of value, showing what you're about, showing how you can help. But people want to work with a person, and it's super important to show your personality, I think, on Instagram, especially because it's such an easy way to do it. There's so many opportunities through reels, and I think a really good tip for creating content, and sort of keeping with your personality and your brand values and your tone, is to think of 3 words that you would really like people to say about your business, and 3 words that you would hate them to say. I love this tip. I think this is such a good tip for people, because I kind of do it at the beginning when I'm working with a business. And it sort of just helps them focus on what they want to share, what they're about. And then every single piece of content that you create, you think about those 3 words. And if you get the 3 bad words, you need to go back and change that content.
That is such a good tip. And it's such a good way to look at it, because I think it's really easy to catch yourself and go, oh, I don't know, is that maybe a bit too personal? Or as you said, like, is that too weird? Are people going to think I'm super weird if I post that? Or will that put people off? Yeah, you do. And the thing is, we are all weird. Like, your thing is cups. Like, everybody has a thing that makes them weird, right? Like, it's funny. Like, I really like, do you know the David Bowie film Labyrinth?
Oh, yes.
Right? So, like,
I'm going to have that song in my head now for the rest of the day.
Magic Dance, it's a brilliant song.
Yes.
But that's one of those things, like, I love that film. I remember renting that movie from Blockbuster back in the day when you could rent it with my dad when I was a kid. And like, my mom hated it. My dad and I and my sister loved it. And then, like, that movie is just, it's always stuck with me. I love it. I've watched it a million times. I know it's cheesy and silly and whatever, but I love it. And I posted something about, I've got like this little David Bowie keychain, and it's like him from Labyrinth. I got it at one of the kind of quirky shops around the West End. And I posted a picture of that in my stories, and see the amount of messages I got from people being like, I love that film. I think that film is great. And it's such a stupid, like, silly little thing. You know, sharing like, this was one of my favorite movies as a kid or whatever, but it brings people closer. It makes you relatable.
Yeah.
It makes you find other like-minded people who also have weird cup things or weird labyrinth obsessions or like whatever it is. And it totally works. You're right. And it's the easiest kind of content to create, because you're literally just showing this tiny little window into like your personality or things you like, or, you know, a room in your house or whatever. It takes 2 minutes to do, but it really works.
Yeah, totally. And I mean, that's one of the posts that does the best on social media, no matter where you're posting, whether it's LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, wherever. Content that resonates with people is a really good draw. There's a few different types of content that, you know, are really good for engagement, and content that resonates, whether that's an 80s film. Was it 80s? It was 80s, wasn't it? Oh, that seems so long ago now. Whether it was an 80s film or you've got a weird thing with cups, to create a post that people will engage with. If they look at it and in their head, they're thinking, I know how that feels, or I know that, or I remember that, they're way more likely to engage with you than, you know, if you're come buy my stuff. I mean, we all have to do the come buy my stuff post, but you know, it's about building a community and having a proper conversation with people. And then when they need to go and find